everyone. Nice to see you all for entering. While people are entering, we'll wait a little bit.
What time is it right now where you are?
3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's 8 p.m. here, so it's already dark. That's why I'm sitting a little bit in light.
You're based, where are you based?
In Denmark.
Denmark, yeah. Denmark. Yeah, it's
small country compared to Brazil.
Yeah.
It's so pretty, yeah.
I wish one day I can visit.
Yeah, you have to. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Take just a few minutes and we'll start it. Tachi, can you please put the presentation, please? Start right away. Yeah, let's start. I will start right now. I know there's some people that are still missing, but I will start so we don't lose track on the time. Hello, everyone. Welcome for this new webinar from BLIS, the Brazilian Language Industry Association. This webinar will be in English, and I want to welcome you all and thank Britta for accepting our invitation for this webinar. I was just in the backstage talking and saying that it's really exciting to bring this fresh discussion to our members, because I know that this is something that recently started discussing there in Europe, right, Britta? And I know that you had a few months ago, you had a meeting, I think it was in Berlin, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The LangOps Pioneers meeting, as we call it.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a bit after Gala, I think, right? It was
Yes,
1
exactly.
month, maybe.
Yes, yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But there will be more, so there are opportunities.
I hope so. I hope so. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there, and I'll be in the next one. I'm sure I'll be there. And it's really exciting to bring this discussion here, this conversation. I think this, especially right now at this point of the world, that we are bringing this discussion around a topic that involves AI, involves technology, involves a new concept of process of thinking, right? So I think this is something that will give us a lot to talk, especially a lot to think. And just to start, BLIS is the first association target to the companies here of linguistic services in Brazil. We have now 16 associated companies. We had recently our first Congress. It was in the end of August. It was 1.5 days of Congress. It was really good. It was full of interesting conversations. We got together the Brazilian industry, a part of the Brazilian industry there in São Paulo. I'm in Rio. So it was really good to see a lot of our associated companies, people that we talk every day. And this BLIS has partnership with different associations, different companies, and it's really good to to bring all the industry here to us to talk. And today we're gonna hear from Britta Aagaard. She's serving as Chief Business Officer, responsible for total business of advanced language solutions at Semantics. Britta, I won't read this.
That's fine.
You are an
Bio's
expert.
always boring.
It's because you are so expert. I know there's a lot more to talk, and this is just a summary of your resume. And I know that you are an incredible person here in the industry. I know you from Gala, and please share with us what you have for LangOps. And
yeah. So first of all, thank you very much for the invitation, Paolo. Yeah, we have met also with your engagement in Gala. I'm very engaged in the industry as such, and the topic today I've been passionate about, as you said, and again I think that it's bigger than ourselves, meaning that it's not about my company, it's not about Semantics, but I really want to speak on behalf of the industry, because I really see there's a unique opportunity in time now to position ourselves in a different way that can be game changing. So let me try to share my screen now, and run you through what LangOps is. So yeah, let's jump in. Let's see how So I don't know how old all of you are. I'm old enough to have experienced all these moments in time. And the common denominator is, of course, all of them have become obsolete, disrupted by technologies. And here's another prediction. I actually heard that on the last LogWorld in Malmö. And the prediction is that in 10 years, nobody will talk about a language industry anymore. I'm pretty sure that many of us have heard, said, and also thought about the word revolution during this year. And future generations will refer to 2023 as the leap forward in artificial intelligence. And of course, also instantly the question came up, what would that mean for the language industry? Would the entire sector become obsolete and replaced by something that is smarter and more productive? So while I think we know that zero-cost translation and even zero-cost content creation is already a reality, so now with the advent of generative AI, the question is this really finally the disruption of translation as we know it? Revolution or not? I actually think this is a moment, a historic moment. We are not just moving along here. And I'm also sure we will remember this. There is something big and new happening. But maybe it's not a revolution. I don't know. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the term of a paradigm shift. It is defined as an important change that happens when the usual way of thinking is replaced by something that is completely new and different. So I want you to just think about how deep this concept actually is. Originally, it was actually coined by a philosopher of science, and Thomas Kuhn. And even if Kuhn thought about it in terms of natural sciences, the concept of a paradigm shift has been widely used to describe a profound change in a fundamental model of perception. So in other words, paradigm shifts arise when the dominant paradigm under which we normally operate is incompatible. And these shifts are, in fact, revolutionary. They seem to change everything we thought to be true. Examples are Charles Darwin's natural selection, or also when we went from Newton gravity to general relativity. And then one of the most impactful ones, the transition in cosmology. Just think about the Copernican revolution and what it did to humanity. The change from human-centric to a heliocentric understanding of the world. These scientific revolutions, from here, there was a trajectory directly to enlightenment of science and modernism. So as you can see, fundamental groundbreaking changes in our perception of the world with a profound impact on how we understand, manage, navigate, and expand our human ability. Paradigm shifts don't happen every day, and often they are actually on the way for quite some time. And we have many times invested a lot in systems to support our worldview and to drive progress from what we know to be true. And that is often good because it enables us to innovate and to build solutions and continuously expand until the foundation changes and the business challenges with it. In industry, paradigm shifts often happen when new technology is introduced. And very often, actually, technology shifts are evolutions rather than revolutions, but they have profound impact. And I believe that this is true for our language industry. Something new is happening. And this is what I want to talk about today, what we call LangOps, or language operations. So what is it? LangOps defines, as I said, a paradigm shift as a result of a significant and transformative change that will fundamentally alter the way that language-related processes, technologies, and also business models operate. And very important is that LangOps unifies language and global business initiatives. And for us as an industry and as business owners, very important, it can elevate global content to a strategic level. And this is what I believe is game-changing for our industry and how we can position ourselves in the context of AI. So let's try to break it down. There are three main pillars. It's an AI-first approach. Secondly, it's enterprise-wide. We'll come back to that. It affects everyone in an enterprise. And last not least, very important, it's all about data. And then you might think, hey, that doesn't sound new. And haven't we seen all this before? Is LangOps not just another buzzword for localization? The discussions have been hot the last year or so about LangOps. For sure. For many of us in the language industry, AI is in some way or other something that we have been working with in different shapes and forms for years. Already in the 70s, MT started, but mainly within research and academic circles. We actually started to use language technologies in the 90s, when a breakthrough happened with TMs and the invention of Trados. In the 2000s, the first TMSs were launched to manage workflows even better, not only the translation process. In the early 2010s, we combined MT and TM to further boost productivity. And in the late 2010s, a breakthrough was made in quality with neural machine translation. And now, what we are facing, large language models are introduced as another addition to our tech environment. And we are even moving towards so-called headless TMS that are seamlessly integrated into content workflow. So as you can see, this paradigm shift has been ongoing in our industry actually for quite some time. But what has actually been driving these developments? Let's try to take a step back and see what has been the key driver for our industry as long as we can think. Content. As an industry, we are put in this world to solve business problems that are connected to communication in a global marketplace. We have proven to provide the solutions to enable scalability, growth, and prosperity. This is something I personally am extremely proud of. And in fact, and which I also think is the beauty of our industry, it almost goes beyond. We are also preservers of diversity, inclusion, and I would even argue democracy. we are supporting global connection. And for that, we have developed tools and technologies to enable communication with a global audience. The explosion of content and platforms could then be handled through productivity tools for translation and automation of processes and workflows. So for sure, for many years, content has been the driver of our solutions and our innovations. But something has changed, and I believe will change dramatically and exponentially. The real-time internet and the so-called hyper-personalized customer experience is now part of any digital transformation strategy, and especially any digital marketing strategy. In today's global connected marketplace, hyper-personalization is extremely important. Communication has transitioned from providing more or less static content to a global audience. Now, it's not that I'm ordering my cars online normally, but I have actually designed my favorite running shoes on a website. So if you are visiting a modern website today, you're engaging with a brand and a product that is tailored to your interactions with it in real time. It's based on your specific needs, your interests, and your preference. And you're also interacting with the brand through your activity, your digital history, your settings, and of course, not least, your own language. So hyper-personalized means not only that the content that is presented to you is based on maybe what has been tracked or on a reactive profiling of you, but actually on your real-time engagement. And that means that businesses need to be able to present this hyper-personalized content and extremely dynamic content to their customers in order to stand out. That needs to happen instantly, in real time, into any language. So in other words, content, metrics, and data need to be processed in real time at an insane speed. And it also means that the sheer amount of content and content variability will explode. Not 10x, not 100x. People talk about maybe million x. And the complexity increases dramatically because content is changing and adapting to this hyper-personal and individual context in which it has to perform. So now it's much more than that. It's more than just productivity and cost efficiency and time to market. In the bigger picture, solving these business problems are at the essence of digital transformation that at some point every organization will face, and that will have a profound impact on businesses and our daily lives. So this context is made of data points, of hierarchies, of concepts and networks, an insane amount of data to process. And the only way to achieve that at scale is automation and data management. So I would argue that is the key driver for our industry today, data. And I think we have all understood that content in essence is data, is language data. Even our customers are starting to understand that AI in its core is language. And that non-numerical data in any business process essentially exists in the form of language. And in the global marketplace, that always means multilingual data. And then it becomes really complex and extremely valuable. This is actually a picture of a very precious metal I've learned called neodymium. Never heard about it, but it should be very valuable. So enterprises have started to understand the greater value and the complexity beyond just smarter translation processes and cost optimizations. They have started to understand language as a strategic asset. And this is what language operations or LangOps, as we call it, is all about. So by deploying centralized language data management and actually harvesting linguistic assets, LangOps will provide the knowledge, the metrics, and the content that is needed to support all these business processes: textual AI applications, product development, search optimization, and customer experience, you name it. So again, the opportunity for us as language experts is here. LangOps move language management from the fringes to the core of an enterprise. And with that, it becomes clear how language data are profit drivers rather than a cost center. And this will move localization up the value stream. Let me try to break it down in an example again. Globalization and global marketing are no longer about translating content. It is actually about digital transformation at large in the enterprise. And of course, digital marketing strategies in particular. Digital marketing strategies rely on data as a vital ecosystem component. When you're a marketeer, you collect data from various sources, you analyze it for insights and metrics, and you use it to create those tailored, customized campaigns. The data shapes your buyer personas, enables personalized content and targeted advertising, and it will enhance engagement and conversion. The linguistic assets that are produced and the language data available in all parts of the enterprise are actually a treasure trove, a gold mine for product development, for AI applications, and for sales and marketing. And this is key and very important for any effective modern digital marketing strategy with a global reach. So again, it's not about translating content anymore. It's a constant iteration, feedback loop, and repurposing of data, language data. And AI learns with this data. And ultimately, that is the only strategy to scale the hyper-personalized customer experience I just talked about. And this is also why I believe a new approach to localization is essential. So let me try to define it a little more. How does LangOps address these business problems? LangOps is for language what DevOps is for software development. But LangOps is bigger than just translation. It goes beyond. It's a set of tools, of processes, and almost a philosophy for approaching language data. As Paolo mentioned, I've been speaking about this for a while, and the last year together with some great and innovative minds in our industry, we decided actually to launch a manifesto for LangOps, trying to describe these overarching principles. And our aim was actually to establish a new category to, again, really show how fundamentally new this is. If you're interested, you can see it on the website that is mentioned below, langops.org. But let me give you a bit of a flavor of what this shift is about. First of all, it's again, understand all customers. Of language being an asset, not only for broadcasting content into another language, but to really understand, engage, collaborate, and communicate with all customers. And that happens in any language. And of course, as you need to support all external customers, in the same way, you also need to support all your internal functions that interact with customers, again, in any language. Data is everything. and should be the driver of decision-making and solutions building. So you need to embrace a data-centric AI approach. Data is key to any performant AI system. As I showed, we collect, we create, we structure, we maintain, and we leverage textual data to really deliver efficient solutions. And it's an AI first approach. And only secondly, maybe a question of how much human supervision and intervention is needed. And that is very intentional. And again, it's not just about MT. It's not about being just another productivity tool. MT had a single purpose. It has the purpose to translate. AI now has a multi-purpose. But it is also a very conscious and very intentional quality approach. The key is to prevent mistakes and to continuously improve to produce quality data that will then improve the results. And even if I said it's an AI first approach, it is at the same time a deep understanding of where exactly humans are making the difference. And it's also to understand the limitations of humans. And this, again, we are really pushing boundaries here. What we believed only humans could do, for example, assessing quality, in some cases, AI can actually assess quality more efficiently and accurately. It is about scalability, transparency, and control. In order to drive these data-driven insights and business processes, metrics are key to determine if the systems are effective and accurate. And at the same time, of course, you also know that it's about security, about data protection, and ultimately about ethics. As I said, it's real-time processing of content streams. And content is now flowing in streams and strings and from different sources. We are moving away from files and waterfall models. It is also language agnostic. And what does that mean? It means that nothing should be hard-coded in English or one language only. All processes should be supported with the ease to actually scale to new languages. You should not expect your users to have language expertise, but it needs to be built on multilingual data sets. Every user wants to speak to a system in your own language. And in some cases, large language models, as we know, can actually create multilingual content without translation at all. We should be open for that. It is truly cross-functional and interdisciplinary. And this is also very important because this also changes the landscape of our own business and our customers' businesses. So there's no over-the-fence working anymore. Language is not longer an afterthought, but will be a key component, as I said, in product development and customer experience. And that will affect the organizational setup. Language needs to be center stage for any team across the enterprise. We also believe that it is the best way forward is to leverage data and tech. This interdisciplinary approach also ensures that we can actually tap into the existing data and the technology of the enterprise architecture. And by working together, people will understand and know where the data sits. That, of course, requires, again, a very high level of connectivity and accessibility. And last but not least, it is about constantly being at the forefront and constantly riding the wave, because AI is literally changing and developing every day. Again, as I said, this didn't happen overnight. And we have been a couple of, we call them LangOps pioneers, who have been trying to push this concept for a while. And it has made some waves. This is a picture of Gartner's hype cycle. And already in July 2022, as you can see, Gartner recognized LangOps as an innovation trigger. And now with generative AI, this trend is on steroids. I personally believe that this is a sea change. It is a revolution as big as the invention of the printing press, or maybe even bigger than the internet. And in the context of LangOps, translation tools, MT, and large language models are all technologies which play a very important role within this ecosystem. And when we understand them holistically, we can really unlock the value. The cool part of all of this is that the localization industry is actually at the forefront of this revolution. After all, it is the large language models that trigger all these miraculous results and use cases. And again, there's an opportunity here for all of us. And I truly believe that the hype is worth embracing. Digitalization is all about data and data management. What we can offer as language professionals is the ability to use customized and effective language models to scale, to enable and empower digital transformations. This is much more than just delivering translation services. And AI tools, and of which LLMs are one, together with other language technology, will actually play a key role and can be leveraged across the enterprise. The real-time internet that I mentioned is, as I said, not only about translating content. It is about language data that is accurate, highly customized, and deeply rooted in the specific context of the use case. And if you think about it, the linguistic assets, the translations, the terminology that we are producing, and the language data that is actually available in all parts of an enterprise is a goldmine, is a treasure trove to train exactly those large language models. And again, become the source for innovative product development, AI applications, but also sales and marketing. And LLMs only get better with this context and the real deep human lived experience. This again is where we as humans and language professionals really can make the difference. By adding and enhancing real human knowledge from real lived experience throughout biases and cultures into this language data. This is how we can create impactful connections that make humans respond and actually engage with the content that they see. So again, you might think, yes, we have seen all this before. But what has changed fundamentally is the perspective. What we believed only humans can do is now possible. Maybe even better, maybe sometimes more effective, with the addition of AI. And this is really what I believe changes everything. It's almost like a new era of enlightenment. Understanding multilingual AI is like the shift to modern science after Copernicus. As I said in the beginning, true or not, but in 10 years, nobody will talk about the language industry as we know it anymore. But that is only good, because localization will converge into other areas, as I showed. It will integrate into customer service, into marketing, into sales, into product and application development, and it will be a key component. So translation, localization, and content creation will eventually morph into each other. And LangOps will change the infrastructure, the tech stack, and also the organizational setup of enterprises. Still, AI is not disrupting translation as we know it. On the contrary, I think the question is rather, what can the language industry do for AI? Already today in enterprises and surely in your customers' companies, and specifically in their localization teams, they already sit on a wealth, an ocean, I would say, of very, very valuable data that can make a difference for this inevitable digitalization journey that modern companies need to embark on. And it's also a reality that most of this data is actually not in the right shape and condition to be used in these new AI processes. Again, here's where we can make a difference. It might also take some time and effort to develop a sustainable LangOps strategy. But I'm convinced that those that move the fastest will also be the winners. So there's a wave to ride here. We are facing a historic strategic inflection. And actually, no matter the hype, if you're skeptical or enthusiastic or paranoid, I'm encouraging you to join this movement and ride the wave. Let me finish off and maybe to open up for the discussions, just a few learnings or some tactical advice that in no means is an exhaustive list. So when speaking to my peers in the industry, I will always encourage them to think outside in. And most importantly, take the perspective of your customer. What are their challenges? What do they want to achieve? What business problems are they facing? Over and beyond a simple translation that they ask you for. Understand how you can add value by bringing their data into play. And also be the change. I understand that all this hype can be overwhelming. And sometimes you really feel stupid because you hardly know what an LLM is. But the truth is, nobody really knows everything, at least. We are all fumbling in some way or other. But by encouraging and actually living a culture of change and innovation in your company, by being curious and courageous, you can set your teams up for success. Something I'm very passionate about is partnerships. Because, as I said, not only interdisciplinary, but LangOps is truly a team sport within your company and also with your partners. Go and look for those who complement you. And remember also, this is not only about technology. This is also about rethinking business models and client relationships. And sharing is caring. This is also why I was very happy to accept this invitation to speak to you today. As I said, this is bigger than just ourselves, and it's not a marketing stunt of a few companies. This is about our industry as such, and communities like Bliss are the networks where we actually can learn and share for the greater purpose. And with that, I'm actually done and want to thank you for your time. Should I stop sharing now?
I was muted. Thank you, Britta. Thank you very much for sharing this information, all this information with us. It's since the first time that I hear, I think it was you presented this in Gala with
Jochen Hummel.
Johan, right? Johan,
Yeah, Jochen, the founder of Trados.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is actually an interesting story. As I also mentioned, in the 90s, he invented Trados in the 90s, and this is basically the CAT tool that we are still all working in, the same thought behind it. And he has now for 5 years or more has been saying we need to move away from the static CAT tool. So that's a very, very interesting story.
Yeah. He invented. Now he wants to drop that. No, I'm kidding. It's not that. But yeah, no, it's really good. And Celia, do you want to say? You raise your hand.
Yes, I do have a question, and I think that this is the first question that everybody has. From the standpoint of our small and medium Brazilian LSPs, which would be the first steps? How to start? Where to start?
I think, and this all might seem very fluffy, and it is in some way. I mean, before we started, you asked me where you were really hoping I could define this, and almost give a checklist or step-by-step plan. But I think the most important and what I see everywhere, even in my own company with my own colleagues and employees, it is really understanding the moment in time that you shift your mind to something else. And instead of saying this either works or works not, or what large language models or chat is producing is good or bad, but go beyond and first of all, be open, try to experiment. And as I said, you don't need to build technology yourself. You don't even need to understand technology yourself. What I have done successfully, and Paulo just mentioned that, I've been lucky to work with Jochen Hummel, the founder of Trados, through other projects, but actually trying to work with people together, people who complement you, maybe. And he's now running a technology company, a software company. And start to speak to others and work together also on projects. Actually, our first project together was a tender for the European Commission, where they were looking for software and services. And I provided the services and he provided the software, and a beautiful collaboration started there. And I have learned so much. But what I also appreciated is that he said he has always built software all his life, but nobody, even the customers, nobody wants to buy only software. They want someone who can provide a full solution. And even if also your member companies or smaller companies, I really encourage you to look for those partnerships. They're out there.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
This comments from Celia, it's Celia, I was writing a question here because I was thinking about everything that Britta was saying, and it's some way related to what you asked, and because during our conference, Britta, Renato was he was the closing keynote, and he was talking about the future and everything, and he brought some possible new roles that will arise with the evolution, with the industry, with the AI. And my question would be like, how do you think LangOps will ultimately change these roles? Because I think these roles are already changing. We are in this process already, but also how our companies are, and I mean not only the Brazilian, but I mean the industry, our LSPs should position ourselves for the clients. Do you think this new paradigm, this new way of thinking will change how LSPs like us should position ourselves before the clients?
Yes, I think, as I said, we have a unique opportunity, but I think it's also on us to do that, because nobody else comes and say, oh, there are all these language service providers. They're just brilliant. we need to make that now. And this is also why we are trying to promote this. You're talking about these new roles, and most of them are, of course, talking about prompt engineers and content creators and so on. And this is exactly, again, where we can add what these maybe generic roles or generic models are missing, because we are specialized. This is another very concrete, Celia, advice is be specialized, find your niche, because that is really where you can stand out and where you can be the improver of the data, of the language data. So my message is really that these wonderful new tools, and I mean, I'm playing a lot with ChatGPT. I don't know if you have tried, but when you're not very specific about your prompt, yeah, I mean, it's good, but it's more or less, it becomes a little boring, little generic. And I think also we can see, I mean, there has been a spike maybe, and we are going a little bit down the hype curve already. But this is, again, our opportunity where we can see yes, and not yes, but yes, and if we add this to the mix, then it becomes really powerful. And for organizations, what I see, and this is where LangOps becomes, as I said, enterprise-wide. So in an enterprise, the teams need to work together. The software engineers, the content creators, and all of them are dependent on the language data. So this is where, again, we can actually show our value, and with that position ourselves differently. But I think we need to do it ourselves, because we have not been very good. We have not done a great job the last decades, I think, to position ourselves as other than service providers, right?
Yeah.
So we have, I think we have lived a life of being, service providers, maybe transactional, where you get a document, you translate it back, and that's it. But with now this hyper connectivity of content and systems, we can actually make a difference.
Totally agree. And you're saying about the spike, we are almost like in the down of the spike, and because when it started, of course, it was like it's a nightmare. Everyone's job will land, and the LLM will take over everything. And I think, the interesting thing is, I position myself in different conferences, and I was recently I was in a lawyers conference, and they were, of course, it's a different thing, but they were like talking about I think the same thing of fear, and we shouldn't have fear of these changes and how it's evolving, because one of the things that one of the keynotes of the event said, and it's really marked me up, it was like the humans won't be replaced by AI, but the humans that use AI will be replaced by, no, the humans that don't use AI will be replaced by the humans that use AI. So I think,
yeah, that's a very good point. But also, I mean, I know you're active also in the legal space and the IP space. I think that that's another great example there, where I've also been working with IP management and language for a long time, where it's almost obvious that language data and accurate language data is extremely important for search, for litigations, and here again, our expertise really comes into play, and helps then the companies to develop new AI applications that all are based on language. So I think, again, we can, and you don't need to be the one who are actually developing or providing these solutions, but you can bring this conversation to your client. That in itself can position you as a consultant rather than just a provider.
then you bring the value and you can, of course, position yourself better. Britta,
may I summarize a little bit of
Yes,
this
please.
wonderful, beautiful talk you just gave us? So it would be, first of all, embrace change always. Play a little bit with the ChatGPT. I did.
Yes.
Go after information. Visit the LangOps website, which was in our screen a little bit ago. Build relationships, be specialized, and see what you can do to help your clients using what you do the best, being part of the language industry. Is that it,
Thank you.
Britta?
Thank you very much, Celia. That was very, very kind and nicely summarized.
Is there any more questions?
Yeah, I just put the website of LangOps in the chat, so everyone, if they want to visit. And Britta, thank you very much for accepting this invitation. You know, this is something that we are discussing here in our company, this concept and how we apply this concept and how we change our mindset to apply this concept. And this is not easy, I can say.
No, it's not. I really and appreciate that. And it is also, as I said, given that it's, you know, almost like a philosophy around this, it is, of course, open for interpretation. But it is this is mainly also, as I said, I think really we have this opportunity to, you know, with confidence rise and position ourselves and show our value in the business landscape.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And thank you for bringing this conversation, this concepts to us, and it's really appreciated. And thank you very much for accepting my invitation.
Thank you,
And
Paulo.
Celia,
It was a pleasure.
You're the one for us. Celia, you are there because it's mine.
Can hear you.
I can
Hello?
still see Celia. Yes.
Yeah, I'm right here. Thank you so much for this very, very inspiring webinar and for sharing your knowledge, your vast knowledge with us. And thank you all for coming. We hope to see you in our next webinar, which is going to happen very soon. So have a good afternoon or a good evening, depending on where you are. And goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Tudo bem aí, gente? Paulo, você tá aí?
Você conseguiu finalizar?
Oi?
Você conseguiu finalizar?
Consegui finalizar, agradeci ela, agradeci o povo todo, falei para até o próximo webinar e finalizei porque não tinham questions. Quer saber? Eu acho que
Rapidinho,
muito complexo para... Oi?
Desculpa, rapidinho, porque... Não, só um minutinho. Calma. Você consegue me botar... É porque eu tenho que parar aqui o...
Podemos sair, a gente fala depois.
Não, é só para você. Você consegue me colocar nos participantes? Você consegue acessar a lista de participantes?
Espera aí, deixa eu ver.
Participants.
Agora tem poucos, tem 5,
Não,
chegou a
sim.
11.
Não, eu sei. Você consegue clicar ali nos 3 pontinhos do lado do meu nome? Na lista?
Tem os 3 pontinhos, pause recording, stop recording. Esse? Captions, nada disso.
Não, depois, ali no meu nome, na lista de participantes, tem 3
tá.
pontinhos.
Tá, já vi.
Aí você me bota como host, por favor, só para eu ver aqui o negócio.
Chat, promote to panelist, rename and remove. Which one?
Não tem para colocar como host?
Não, tá Tá Paulo Macedo aqui.
Ah, não, você tem que ir para outro. Você está no attendees. Vai no
Ah,
panelists.
panelists. Ok, vamos lá. Você quer que eu faça o que mesmo?
Me colocar como host.
Tantinho.
Obrigado. Deixa eu só botar aqui uma coisa. Stop recording.